everyone. How are you? Happy new moon in Cancer to everyone. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been leaving comments about me disappearing on YouTube for you. When I send them messages to relay that, like people tell me in phone calls all the time and emails, people write and ask me where I've been. But if you leave it in the comments, it's better because they pay attention when I can send a screenshot. That's really the only time that they pay any attention. So, anyway, I wanted to wait to make this video because we had that. I did do a little write up if you look on the community tab about the Mars Saturn opposition squaring Uranus that was going on last week. So if you have planets in the middle of the sign, like even like from 10 to 20 of a sign, that will be setting off something in your life depending on what house is involved and what planet. And and then when we're looking at the astrology for this new moon in Cancer, it's really a lot about coming home, coming back to the self. And it's a much softer energy than the squares that we had going on last week. Completely different. It's a shift. And it's also the first new moon since the eclipses. So this is a whole new chapter now. This is, the start of something brand spanking new. And Metatron has been playing the song This Is It. Make no mistake where you are. You're back to the corner. It's time to like make it a move. Do something significant. Let the universe see that you're serious about and motivated, and waiting for the signal to go forward. This is the signal. This is it. So we're looking at the new moon's going to take place on the 10th of June in London. It'll be 11:52 a.m. It's 8:52 p.m. in Sydney, and Chicago. It's 5, or Central Standard Time is 5:52 a.m. And new moons are when we plant the seeds. Full moons are when things come to fruition. The new moon is when we are planting a seed. And so he was speaking to me about seeding joy and that sense of childlike wonder. So Venus and Mars, and this is very significant that Venus and Mars are coming together in Leo on the 13th of July. So we're feeling that already now. And they're basically in a conjunction at the time of the new moon already today on the 9th. They're already considered to be in a conjunction. And when planets are in Leo, they're answering to the sun. Leo rules the sun. And so the divine lovers, as they're called, are together and they're answering to the sun and in Cancer, who of course is answering to the moon in her own sign of Cancer. And so this is going to be about balancing the masculine and feminine energy within us, and then also partnership and opening our hearts so that we can come into a place where he's saying that we feel comfortable and embraced within the self, comfortable with who we are. Okay. So being comfortable within ourselves and being harmoniously connected to the physical body as well. And with the way that Uranus is reaching out and squaring that Mars Venus connection in Leo, it's important to remember that when the physical body is not feeling well, when there is stagnation, when we're sedentary, we become sad. It affects our moods. And so this is really like it's time to shake things up with the physical body if we've been sedentary, or he's saying the physical body is missing out on having any kind of fun because there's no motion, there's no movement that can affect our moods. The moon rules our emotions, and it also rules habits, like the habits that bring us comfort, the ways that we comfort ourselves. So a lot of it's associated Cancer and the moon a lot with food, with kitchens, with being in, like he's showing me when we used to have the open fireplaces in the kitchen and gather around there. And that's how we cooked. And then we sat at the table there by the fire. It's like that homey feeling. And coming into a place where we're centered and grounded and happy with ourselves. And he's talking about buoyant joy, like being in that safe harbor of Cancer, but being buoyant with joy, feeling uplifted. And really, he is showing like the image of those of you who remember like the bionic woman or the bionic man, when they would he's playing that music and they would show them, like, and it's like, we will rebuild her. um, Doing that with our physical body and really making a fresh commitment to ourselves and to following our hearts. And he was talking about going back to the beginning and when we were coming in, to this life, and we were so excited to be there. Honestly, I'm telling you, that's what it looks like before we come in. I know a lot of people are like, really? Um, but yeah, we were really excited for what lie ahead for all of us. And then things happen. We, get into this mess and that mess, and we forget that we had a plan that brought us joy. So, and we can only really find that when we go within and spend time with ourselves, doing whatever it is that you do to feel like you're in that safe space, spending time in nature. Yoga is a good way to get into the body, any kind of breath work. So, at the time of the new moon, and really starting today, Mercury, well, it's the day before the new moon, but Mercury is opposite. He's at the end of Gemini. He's cleared his shadow now, and he is opposing the galactic center. So that tells me that a lot of insights and information are going to be coming up. But Metatron was pointing out that the Chandra symbol for the 19th degree of Cancer, where this new moon takes place, is about the possum or the opossum. Everybody, depending on where you live, people say that differently. And they're the ones that when they are filled with fear, they sort of go into this catatonic state. And people think they're playing dead, but that's actually like a nervous system response that they just like tap out. And so, it can be challenging for a lot of us who have had problems with parents' connection, one of the parents, because of, again, Cancer and the moon, that's our roots, where we came from. That connection can be dicey. And then maybe it was a love relationship for other people that caused heartbreak, and now they're afraid to open their heart again. So, this new moon is really a chance for us to make a commitment to the inner child, to, he's saying, the sacred self, embodying the sacred self through allowing ourselves to feel joy, to express joy, and to show emotion and understand that, it's safe to express yourself, because there's so much in the astrology right now speaking to twin flame union or soulmate union, however you'd like to say that, or whatever, however you think of that. Um, the only thing that might stop, like, let's say, a communication or somebody being honest about their feelings or reaching out, is because of the way that Saturn and Pluto are speaking to this energy. It could be fear that causes people to withdraw and go within, or go into that catatonic state where they just are completely shut down. But the possum also is about trickster energy. So that's important to keep in mind. When Mercury is at the end of Gemini, he's actually in what's called a square to Pallas Athena, who is at the end of Pisces. So during this emotional energy, when all of this stuff is happening in Cancer, and Leo is, when Venus and Mars are also answering to the sun in Cancer, so pretty much all of the personal planets Mercury will be in Cancer in a few days. Important to remember not to get carried away with emotions, where, if you can come into that small, quiet space within the self, and quiet the mind and let go of, what does Eckhart Tolle, he talks about like how we feed the emotional pain body, and how, and this is the kind of astrology where that energy could just snowball and magnify. And rather than, avoiding emotions, like what was he, oh, he pointed out a meme to me today about emotional avoidance, and how people like say, do their positive affirmations, and I'm so happy for, and really internally they're not. They're very sad, but they're afraid to like crack that door open, and take a look at what is going on. And facing the shadow is nothing to do with facing like the negative side of us. The shadow is the part of us that believes, that is still in the mindset of separation, that believes that it's separate from source, that it's still trying to do something to get to source. If we can, convince ourselves, and it takes time and effort to put in new programs, but once we have, downloaded, he's saying, our own minds with the truth, the fact that we are one with the vibration of creation, that there was never any separation. We started incarnating so that we could come back to the realization that we're already a part of the Creator. That's enlightenment, that's awakening. So if we can convince that part of us that is heartbroken that it's possible to find joy again, to open our hearts again, that there is a partner whose heart matches your heart's vibration. And when we're in that space of joy and feeling connected to our body, and have the sense of self, what the self wants, what the self would like to have to be happy, what kind of relationship would that inner child like to see happen for us now? What kind of adventures could we share with another? And that the joy can then be double. It doesn't have to be, that codependent relationship. Really, that word, I feel like, honestly, unless each person in the relationship is tending their own garden and filling that hole for themselves, we can't really help but get into a codependent relationship, because if we aren't feeding ourselves from within and feeling inspired and happy, and he's talking about being charged up, then we are going to be looking for it, from the external. And it really, that never works. It's good at first, right? But it doesn't last. There's not like a foundation there, because each person is feeding off of the others. It just ends up being insecurities rather than a balanced, relationship. And I was just, it's so funny because my son and I ordered, from a Japanese, like Chinese place last night. And the I know that he wanted me to talk about what was in the fortune cookies. And it was kind of funny because we were just having this conversation about, when he was going to talk to me about what to say in the video. And then I opened the fortune cookies, and what's really weird is there were three, but only two of them had messages in them, and they were perfect for the video. So I'm just going to trust that he's going to slip it in a different way. So because the time is 52, then the numerology for the new moon is a 7. So it's deep, introspective. This is all Cancerian. Intuitive, private, reclusive, secret, distant, and indifferent to the outer world of phenomena, but not to inner worlds of secrecy, intrigue, and hidden mysteries. So again, closing out what's going on. And I don't know. I wonder if there's like some big thing of misinformation that's going to come out again. But do you remember a few months ago, when I was talking about Pisces and how Neptune had entered the last decan, his own decan? of Pisces. And so with the ethers, the atmosphere, and then also with the oceans, climate change events are going to really speed up and be much more significant. Um, and he said something about symbolism when I was talking about that, about the oceans. And then the Darwin Arches fell into the ocean. So I'm pretty sure that's what he meant with that. This misinformation. I was hearing a lot of messages about like crossing the Rubicon, that we've crossed the Rubicon with the disinformation, misinformation. And so it's really important for all of us to do research. Research is not YouTube videos, those are opinions that, any of us can, get on YouTube and say stuff. But really important, I always encourage people, if it's I'm the reader or anybody else is the reader, to ask the creator for a sign so that you can always double check what you've been told. Be really discerning when you're listening to channelings these days. There are people who are interested on YouTube about having big audiences, and a lot of you tell me that, readers discuss like the same topics. Probably because they watch each other. All of you tell me, ask me, oh, do you watch this? I don't watch anybody. I don't want to be influenced or just be talking about something because it's popular on YouTube. But really, be careful with being discerning right now. Anytime we got a lot of water going on, we can get carried away with emotions, especially with the planets in Leo. And then he also showed me uh, a train pulling into a station. Well, I guess I should say the train pulled up to the station. It did not actually come into the station. And so I knew that that meant that those of us who need to, clean up, um, habits of self care, or where we are not prioritizing ourselves, but we want to go forward in something or have more, that's just not going to come about now. When it's a Uranus square Saturn year, it's going to have to be something with a very firm foundation. Like, we really have to have our individual self taken care of before there can be like an increase in momentum or more coming in, more to handle kind of thing coming in. So, that's going to be really important. But this definitely is like a portal energy for divine union, for surely. And also because of that trickster, if you do get a message, especially from someone from the past, really, I'm just hearing him say, bide your time. So I don't know if that means like, don't rush in, but he's saying like anything that's beginning now will need a secure foundation. Again, secure. Like our insecurities, that's our Cancer, our moon. That can be like super insecure, the lower vibration of it. So this is the kind of energy where the insecurity, if it is someone who with insecurities, that's going to show up really quickly. But there's going to have to be like okay, he's saying if it's a relationship, a budding relationship, then that momentum is going to build slowly, or it's going to be like a flash in the pan, like in and out. Because that's really more that Saturn square Uranus. If there is something where we aren't taking our time and we're just rushing forward with emotion, because there's emotional or sexual connection with Mars there, then it's not going to last. Interesting too that Mars is with the asteroid Heimdall. That means the guard of the bridge between heaven and earth right now, and in the new moon astrology. So when Venus comes to Mars, that Heimdall will be there too. And so you can say that that's the Metatron energy. It's like the highest octave of us, that is the creator, that we're all a part of and sparks of. And so that's significant. And then Neptune, of course, is unconditional, pure love. and that is in a harmonious connection with the new moon. So if there is something that you're passionate about, or you've had some, like, where you thought it was just some crazy dream, um, put that out there. Do your little ritual for the new moon. And I sometimes mention that, it's a good, if you want to just do something quickly, you can write down on a piece of paper what you'd like to leave behind. Baggage. He's talking about emotional baggage, the disharmonious connections to the past. That's a big thing with the moon. Like, how Cancer can hold on to that grudge for a really long time. Um, and our moons, we all have moons, right? So we can all do it. But yeah, maybe on one side of the paper, writing down what baggage you're releasing before you get on the train, and then on the other side of the paper, wishes, dreams, goals, what you would like assistance or help with from the universe, and then burn it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's good if you're going to light a candle, try to make it a short, like you want to make sure it blows out. So even like a tea candle kind of thing, you want to see it go out by itself. But yeah, after that's burned, you just spread the ashes on the ground and just trust that the universe is going to bring that to fruition. So I'm going to just read the Sabian symbol. The sense of something, well, I'll read the whole symbol. It's kind of convoluted. A priest performs a ritual ceremony whereby two individuals are brought together to form a union greater than the sum of the parts. 1 plus 1 equals more. The sense of something more emerging lies in stepping up to higher responsibilities, a greater sense of importance by virtue of two being brought together. The priest is the authority empowered to join two in marriage, but it is important to note that it is the process of ritual ceremony itself that takes single individuals up to another status known as marriage. Consequently, an individual, um, or sorry, Cancer 19 has a natural disposition toward ritual ceremony and the creation of a process that always creates more than seems possible. So that goes along with that trine to Neptune. There isn't a dream that's unattainable. I mean, sure, if you're 90, probably, don't be going cliff diving. But maybe save that for the next lifetime. But he's saying you're important enough. Your goals are important enough. Your wishes are important enough. And because of the way that Saturn is playing into this energy, there can be that fear that we're doing something wrong. When it's time to end a relationship, the other soul knows that too. You can't have one person who is lonely and alone and not getting anything from the relationship, and then the other person is perfectly satisfied. They could be telling themselves that, but doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And he's saying um, that we're finishing up the idea that we should forsake our own needs, our own sense of fulfillment, our own sense of inner harmony in order to please another. No one can be responsible for the way another feels, um, or their life path, is what he's saying. So I'm sure that will make sense to some of you. So, yeah. And then I also wanted to just talk about all of the things happening with global warming right now because of, it's in the astrology. That's going to, I think we'll wait maybe until next week, maybe when Mars and Venus finish their meeting. But it is a very joyful energy. It's inspirational. It's time to like break programs and patterns that have held us down, held us back, especially familial patterns with that moon, or just habits of comfort that are like maybe a quick fix, but long term are not helpful. But I do feel like, I don't know what he's pointing out. Yeah, Ceres is in a harmonious trine with Vesta. So maybe committing to a new practice of diet, but any kind of self care, even if it's putting on lotion, If you're one of those busy moms or busy dads or busy businessmen, woman who doesn't have time to do a lot of pampering, maybe setting aside some time for you to get to that. But yeah, the asteroid union, the asteroid part of Juno partnership asteroid and the south node are all together at the descendant in this chart at the fixed star Antares. And then Gabriel is in sextile to Saint Michael. Saint Michael has a lot to do with twin flame stuff in astrology. And I want to say, because I hear you asking, I believe Saint Michael is 3990 if you want to look that up in your chart. If you do use astro.com, there's a list of asteroids that you can use to like enter them into the chart. So, anyway, everybody, I hope that you really enjoy this weekend and have a beautiful new moon in Cancer. Try to do something pretty in the house. Maybe putting something in your eye line that's a piece of art because Mercury at the end of Gemini, and then Venus and Mars coming together in Leo too. All good for art and beauty. So listen to some music, dance around. Can't be sad when you're dancing and singing. So, but hey, if you need to have an emotional release, that's appropriate in this energy too. But I also like too that Neptune is between Chiron and Jupiter. Neptune is at the midpoint of Chiron and Jupiter. So that's like a wish come true. And like I said, it's going to relate to partners. Chiron is huge in soulmate connections. And, Jupiter is still in Pisces, unconditional love, where his traditional rulership is. So watch out, like, for news stories, things going on about corporate espionage. He's been talking to me about that. And, always be just, if you can just have gratitude for your technology, that will like clean up any kind of ick with the artificial intelligence. It's when we have like a resentment toward it or we feel like it's invading us that kind of creates that negative connection. So he wanted me to mention that too. Eris is still square to Pluto, as Saturn is squaring Uranus. So a lot of upheaval kind of energy, but not really. He's saying that that can be used to kind of not jolt the pacifist, the one who just keeps peace and stays quiet because they don't want to rock the boat. But it may just start an initial like conversation. It might help to get the true feelings out if there's something that needs to be ended. Because this is the kind of astrology where even if we try to cling on, it's just not going to be clingable. All right, everybody. Sending you so much love. I'm so happy that we could connect again. Oh, and yeah, I hope the locusts weren't too loud. I'm just used to tuning them out. But anyway, you guys enjoy your new moon energy and the Venus Mars conjunction. It's a nice week ahead. All right. Bye bye.